What's going on, everybody? Got a couple of interesting stories I want to go over with you guys and talk about. I want to start here, though. Recently, there was a really good interview from an ex-Bungie executive. Did about an hour or so interview on this YouTube channel. I'll actually link this article in the description, and you can go watch the video if you would like to. A lot of really interesting tidbits in there about Microsoft, or not Microsoft, but Bungie's deal with Activision. Activision is, of course, the Call of Duty publisher, if you did not know that. And apparently it was a nightmare, and it was bad from the start, which I'm sure shocks nobody. Really interesting stuff in there about how anybody that was with Bungie and left them will tell you that the deal was terrible, and how, anybody that's still there when the deal was in place will say for political reasons that, it wasn't that bad. But there was all kinds of stuff about Activision calling Bungie like a golden goose, and this term for taking a golden goose and slaughtering it when the time's up and all of this stuff. It's crazy. But basically, a lot of stuff is confirmed that a lot of people already suspected that Activision had their heads all up the rear end of Bungie and pretty much had their noses and everything, and are one of the big reasons that the franchise had some of the problems that everybody complained about. It was really good. Very, very informative interview. It's not surprising. I don't think anyone's going to be shocked by it, but it's interesting nonetheless. So I will put this in the description. Go ahead and give it a listen if you want. It's about an hour and 56 minutes long. Next up, I actually talked about this a couple weeks ago, that there was a report that AT&T wanted to sell off Warner Brothers Interactive, which I think is a huge mistake. I think it's a mistake for them to sell their studios. They have a nice little gaming division there with really good studios that can handle their properties. And given that, video games are just making more and more money, I really don't see video games collapsing. I think it's definitely the future of entertainment for sure. Video games make more money than Hollywood. They make more money than entertainment. Like, that's the most dominant form of entertainment right now is video games. I think it's a mistake to sell these when you have really well done, hard hitting studios like Rocksteady and NetherRealms. Why sell them? Especially when you can invest in it and make it a little bit better. But the thing is, AT&T is in such debt that they're trying to cut corners wherever they can. This is, of course, a lot of this probably has to do with them being pushed by that activist hedge fund group that's kind of got a big stake in them. So they're going to sell them more than likely, but this is all rumor. I want to be clear on that. The big thing here, though, is that Microsoft is reportedly interested in purchasing them. And according to this deal, they get the studios and they get control of the IPs in a sense. So they'll license the IPs, right? Therefore, giving kickbacks to Warner. That would be an ideal situation for them. Getting the studios without the IP, though, I'm not sure how great that is. Let's take a look. It's not a very long report. A few weeks back, it was reported that Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment might be looking to be sold off by parent company AT&T. At the time, publishers like Electronic Arts and Activision were said to be interested in purchasing the brand. Now another interesting suitor has seemingly come forward. According to a new report from The Information, Microsoft has apparently expressed interest in purchasing Warner Brothers and its stable of games. The news is said to come by way of two independent sources familiar with the matter. If this is indeed true, it would see developers like Rocksteady, Warner Brothers Montreal, and NetherRealm Studios joining Microsoft's Xbox Game Studios publishing brand. Additionally, numerous IPs such as Batman, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings and Mortal Kombat would be under Microsoft's control too. Kind of. I'm not sure how that will work. So the thing there would be, because Warner Brothers owns those IP. Now, what could happen is Microsoft could sign an exclusivity deal with AT&T, and AT&T, so it'd be similar to kind of like Electronic Arts has an exclusivity deal with the NFL. So the Electronic Arts, Madden football, it's the only way you're going to play NFL football games. Now, this would be really interesting because that would mean any sequel to the Arkham series or any Batman game, Batman would be exclusive to Microsoft. You want to play a Lord of the Rings game? Exclusive to Microsoft. You want to play Mortal Kombat? Exclusive to Microsoft. That would be interesting. Very interesting, particularly Batman, because there's been a long rumor running. It's a long running rumor that there's another Batman game in development. The Arkham series is very popular. Imagine if the only way you can play Batman is on a Microsoft platform. I say that because it wouldn't just be on Xbox. You'd still be able to buy these games on PC. Whether or not you would be able to get them in Steam and something, I'm not sure. I hate the Windows Store. It sucks. So I don't know. This could be very beneficial to Microsoft. Microsoft has the money. The big contender that everybody was thinking was Electronic Arts, but Microsoft would be an interesting choice. That would definitely give the Xbox a nice advantage. This move, assuming that there is validity to it, does potentially make a lot of sense. For starters, Microsoft has enough capital on hand to make a purchase like this in the first place. AT&T is reported to be looking for a sale in the realm of $4 billion if it were to move forward. There's also the fact that the Xbox label over the past few years has made a concentrated effort to add more studios under its domain in recent years. Companies such as Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Playground Games, and inXile have all been picked up by Microsoft at one point or the other. As long as the publisher looks to begin shipping the Xbox Series X later this year, it has made clear to potential buyers that first-party games are a key focus in the future. And I would hope so. One thing that the Xbox One definitely lacks are first-party games. Heavily lacking. Not very many. The PlayStation 4 absolutely just wrecked them with that. So we'll see. Interesting. Nonetheless, I wonder if this will happen. I think that AT&T is making a mistake here. I think it's a mistake for them to sell these studios, especially since they're proven and they're solid studios and they handle your IP really well and they make good games with your IP. But, and video games are just going to keep making more money. I think this is a mistake, but, they're going to do what they're going to do. Speaking of DC Universe, since we were talking about Batman, big rumor that Warner Brothers is going to reboot Justice League with a rebirth film. This has all got a lot of stuff from what I've heard centering around Michael Keaton and the Snyder Cut. How well does the Snyder Cut do? If the Snyder Cut does well, these plans might change a little. This, of course, is all going to hook up with Flashpoint, the Flashpoint Flash solo movie. That's supposed to be what's going to cause the big reboot. And then apparently they'll do a Justice League Rebirth film. Rebirth is, of course, where they did DC 52, or the new 52, and then they messed that up. They got rid of all of their good stories, all of the stories that everybody knew from the past, and rebooted the universe. And then that didn't work, so then they did Rebirth. And Rebirth was, of course, bringing everything back. So the funny thing here is Rebirth is more likely going to be based on the New 52, not Rebirth, but Rebirth sounds better than New 52. And it lines up better with saying, hey, this is a rebirth of our films. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of moving parts. I think, at least according to Grace Randolph, all of this depends on Michael Keaton, and we'll see what happens. But interesting things going on over at AT&T, Warner Brothers, and their DC characters. I'm really interested. I can't wait to find out about Michael Keaton. They have a big, it's called DC Fandom, and they're going to do, if there was an actual convention going on where they would do announcements, they're going to do it during that. It's all going to be online. I would imagine we'll find out everything that's going to happen, and with Michael Keaton during that event. I'm eagerly awaiting what's going on. Next up, AMC is suing New Jersey. They say if churches are open, so can the movie theaters. I guess that's good logic. I think it should be open anyway. You don't want to go, don't go. That's my opinion. But interesting enough, they are taking them to court. And then finally, I saw this dumb thing. I don't even know what this is. I just know people have been talking about it forever. This Atari VCS, which is apparently you download everything. It's got 100 classic Atari games on it, and apparently you can download indie games. This thing is going to be $400. Oh, no, I'm sorry, $389. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. But that's where the stories end. That's everything. A little mashup of some stories that interested me. Well, let me know what you guys think about all this. Is there anything here you want to comment on? What do you think about what's going on with the DCU? What do you think about AMC? What do you think about Bungie? What do you think about Microsoft buying the AT&T Warner Brothers gaming studios? Give me your thoughts on all of that. Also, if you would, please throw a like up, share the video, make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.